well, that's an entirely different situation. You can have that law in your books, okay, as a threat. Okay, you can have that law in your books as a threat. Following through on that threat is entirely different. Now, do I think Donald Trump would do such a thing? Maybe. Who knows? He's a fucking psycho. Okay? He's an absolute psychopath. Perhaps a reasonable person who is maybe not demented, who cares about the future of this country and every other country, and maybe even maintaining a shred of decency for the United States of America, what remains, would try to pack this entire situation up before it gets completely out of hand. And then Donald Trump is the one with the reins of power. But they're not going to do that because Joe Biden is a ultra-nationalist for Israel.
The previous British government had submitted to the International Criminal Court. But the United States, obviously Israel's closest ally, they are not a signatory of the ICC. So in theory, Netanyahu would still be able to travel to the United States, a country that he has such a long affiliation with, a country where he grew up in, went to school in his early years. And we've already seen from the incoming Republican administration in the United States threats to sanction the ICC were they to proceed with this. So I think Netanyahu will have support on the other side of the Atlantic. Also, these ICC arrest warrants don't always get carried out. We saw President Putin, who had an arrest warrant issued for him after the invasion of Ukraine, traveled to Mongolia a couple of months ago, and nothing was done about that. He wasn't arrested when he landed in Mongolia. But in terms of the reputation of Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, in terms of their legacy, they are now wanted suspects, wanted to be put on trial for war crimes. And it is a label that will never leave them. And object to it as strongly as no doubt they will do. Nonetheless, a body of such, the International Criminal Court has...
I have an idea. Okay, I have an idea. What if you didn't do any of the war crimes and you just stopped, and then you volunteered yourself to be put in, some sort of confinement so that the prosecution could be conducted, and then went to jail for the rest of your life if that's, what they choose to do? I'm just saying, if you're innocent, go defend yourself. Go defend yourself in court. Right? I mean, that's what you would do, right, in this situation?
Decided, after many months of weighing up the evidence, that there is sufficient evidence to request arrest warrants against Israel's Prime Minister and former Defense Minister.
And Ali, you say there's been no official reaction.
This part is a little bit more tricky, but yes, Netanyahu would not be able to fly over Europe because they could potentially send jets, like fighter jets, to forcibly land his plane. Or if he has any sort of emergency landing due to mechanical or health reasons, he would, plausibly have to go to jail. Now, I don't think that they would actually fucking force, I don't think they would send fighter jets to force his plane to land. Like, I think that's a bit much. There are direct flights from Tel Aviv to JFK. No, chat, I'm just saying the opportunities are endless. I'm not saying it's going to happen. You should check the New York Times homepage right now. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're not covering this story. It's probably not that important. It's probably like around, third, fourth, fifth most important. Matt Gaetz withdraws his attorney general pick. It's a big story, to be fair. Inside the lobbying career of Trump's new chief of staff. Okay, that's weird. Pete Hegseth. Clean energy. Putin threat to West. Oh, it's not even under the fold. It's like Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's like multiple scrolls past. Wow, it's not even in the top 3 or 4 news stories in the country. It's the 5th. Netanyahu's arrest sought by International Criminal Court. Huh. That's interesting. Arrest sought by court.
To it yet, but as you point out, when the arrest warrants were requested by Karim Khan back in May, there was a lot of pushback from the Israelis because, as we've seen, there were those 2 appeals that were put in place that the ICC rejected to date. Now, it's a de facto travel ban for those countries that are part of the Rome Statute, part of the ICC. But I think the first requirement is on national courts to bring in that arrest warrant as well. And of course, Benjamin Netanyahu has his issue.
Honestly, surprised your hit piece didn't end up higher. I know yours was in a different section. New York Times is not going to do a hit piece on me. They're not that depraved. Okay, that's like leave that shit to the fucking Fox News and the New York Post of the world. Okay, that's a little bit different. New York Times is not going to do a hit piece on me yet. Let's just say. Boom. Easy money, baby. You come in here, you say some dumb shit, clap, get clap. One silly question I have for all the people that have just not been paying attention to anything that's going on in the world. I wonder if they will at any moment go, hey, maybe I should stop watching these fucking drama farmers who are either pro-Israel or noticeably absent from the conversation until there's an opportunity to shit on Hassan for being a critic of Israel. Probably not. What? Please ban me as well. I'll stop watching you then. No. You will not get banned until you say some bigoted shit.
Issues with the Israeli courts at the moment. There are still those outstanding cases against him, and I'm not suggesting for a moment that an Israeli court would try and follow through on this arrest warrant from the ICC, but does this in any way build on some of the domestic pressure that Benjamin Netanyahu may be facing in that regard?
You're right. I don't see a situation where the Israeli High Court, for example, will demand the arrest domestically of either Netanyahu or Gallant. But you never know what might happen in the future. And that will always play on Netanyahu. You never know what a court might do in 5 years hence, 10 years hence, for example. I think there are cases, I think there is precedent for courts in...
I told you that AOC was absolutely the enemy and should be shunned from the left. Got a weak ban for it when she voted to make it illegal to not Sam Ham Israel Chai. I am vindicated. She voted to put you in jail, bro. What will it take for you to condemn her? Well, she didn't. She did not do that. She voted for I hate anti-Semitism messaging bill that was not even a bill. It was a resolution to urge to adopt the IHRA definition and codify it. She has in the past struck down and voted against IHRA codification bills, and she will continue to do so. I still do think that AOC's, like even on a messaging bill like that, the fact that AOC voted yay on it is not, it's just ridiculous, I think. Having said that, however, if you think that she would vote to put forth a bill that would put me in jail, that vote would also put her in jail as well, which is why I thought it was very silly. We talked about this yesterday. Like, my criticisms of AOC are, I think fairly reasonable. Wait, she voted for the nonprofit killer? Fuck no. That's the point. She voted against the nonprofit killer. She voted against the former IHRA definition bill. Of course, she's not going to vote for the IHRA definition bill. This is a messaging bill. It's like I don't like anti-Semitism is the way that they present it. And then there's urging to put the IHRA definition sneaking into that anti-Semitism bill. I still maintain the position that she should not have voted yay on it. Okay. She should not have. But this is not a what do you call it? This is not like a binding bill that will implement the IHRA definition. The resolution that urges for there to be a binding bill that actually adopts the IHRA definition. And I don't think she would vote for that. And she has literally voted against it in the past, as we looked at yesterday. This is not a defense of AOC. I am still against her voting on this bill. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Stop defending. Shut the fuck up, dude. My job is to tell you the fucking truth. I do not appreciate, nor do I think she did the right thing. Why the fuck are we talking about AOC as a moment of happiness? Shut the fuck up. My job is to explain to you things so you don't get fucking geared because you saw a bunch of wonderful people